So I am super pumped to be able to share with you some of my favorite team management and productivity tools because I got to tell you, I am a little bit obsessed. I really love like tools that help me do things that much faster and also tools that help me like stay organized because I have a little bit of an OCD when it comes to everything being in its place. In fact, I have been compared to Monica in the past. Hey there, welcome to Mac TV. My name is Mac, and this is a space for first-time managers who are looking to build their confidence and, of course, their skills so that they can lead their teams effectively. Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 fantastic tools that you can use to help you manage your team and, of course, yourself. Because to me, like team management is not just about managing the team's efforts, but it's also about managing yourself as well. And so these tools that I'm going to be introducing you to will help you do that essentially, and I'm really excited to share this with you. So this video is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to actually take you behind the scenes so that you can see exactly like how this plays out. And I figured I would do it this way just to get some of your creative juices flowing. And not to worry, I will definitely link each and every tool in the description box below. So if you like see one and you're like, oh, that looks interesting, I'd like to give that a try, all you have to do is find it in the description box below, okay? Now, just as a heads up, I'm gonna have to go pretty fast because it's 7 tools I wanna introduce you to, so just feel free to like stop and rewind or pause if you need to in order to just make sure that you fully grasp what I'm talking about, okay? Okay, so let's do this thing. So first things first, we're gonna start off with my absolute favorite tool, which is Trello. Trello is a fantastic project management tool that I am just so in love with. In fact, if you've been following me for some time, you have probably heard me mention Trello before. In fact, I know that I have mentioned it in the how to do a work plan video, which I will link for you somewhere around here. But yeah, I just probably very briefly touched on it and didn't really go into depth, which is why I wanted to walk you through how to use it in this video. So like I said, Trello is a fantastic project and task management tool. And if you're a visual person like I am, then you will really appreciate this because it's a really great visual way of like seeing your projects. And because it's so visual, it's so like intuitively built in terms of how you would develop and lead a project. So it's super fantastic. So I want to just show you how you can use it. So as you can see here, I've created for you a fake board just so that you can see what this might look like for you. So I'm going to like dive into showing you kind of how it works a little bit. So I'm going to look over at the secondary display. So if you see me looking over to the side, it's just because I'm looking at the display that you're seeing right now. So as you can see here, you can literally house every project within this board, including like instructions as to how to use the board and how to collaborate. So for example, if you have a team member that is onboarding into the team, you could literally just insert here for them exactly how to use this board. So you could just be like, dear new team members, here are instructions as to how to use this board. And then it could just be like step 1, whatever, step 2, so on and so on, so that they can literally see how to use the board. And then you can even create like instructions in step 2 in terms of, you know, how they can collaborate and add things to the board. And so I put this under the start here list. That's something that you might want to do. It's totally up to you. I also have a list for like logins and passwords. So you could, if you want, put all the links that you guys as a team are constantly using. So put any, like you could put the link here and then put username and password, right there. So that team members, as soon as they enter this board, they can see, they could literally click on this card and have access to links that you guys are using on a consistent basis and get through. Because sometimes it's just like frustrating having to like find like URLs and passwords. So you can do that. You can also link to like important documents. So if you guys have like important documents or contracts or something that you're using, you could link it right here in a card. What's so great about Trello is that you can use power-ups to link things to the card. So for example, if I were to click on this power-up tool,
it's going a little bit slow, but there's a variety of different apps basically that you can add to your boards. So for example, one that I use quite often is Google Drive. So I have like a lot of documentation that I house in Google Drive. So if I were to add this to this particular board, then automatically I could click the board and have access to, you know, whatever my documentation is in Google Drive. So it's like super simple to use. And there's a ton of different like apps that you can connect to Trello. It is just absolutely wonderful. Okay, so that's just like what you can do for like housekeeping wise within the board. In terms of like managing a project, what you could do is create lists. So you can have a list that says like what you're working on as a team for the month, what you're working on for your first quarter, any projects that are on hold, and then a list for completed projects. And so as you can see here, I created like 4 projects for the month. So these are the 4 things, for example, that you and your team members might be working on. And what's so great is like within each card, you can literally create lists of things to do. Actually, I created one already for you to see here. So here you can see there's like a checklist of items that needs to be done in order for you to accomplish this project. And you can actually set like reminders for each task and have each team member collaborate with you. As you can see here, you can even set a due date. So for example, if I wanted the due date of this to be, I don't know, January 26th, and hit save, you'll see here that the due date for this specific project is set for January 26th, specifically at 3 p.m. Oh, it's because it's 3 p.m. right now. I was like, why did it put 3 p.m.? Anyways, you can do things like that. You can even throw labels on it, for example. So you can create a label that, for example, if this green color is on track, you can save that. Yellow could be off track, late, let's say. So then what you can do is literally add labels to the different cards. So let's say you're working on these 4 projects and the improved customer NPS score is on track. Then you can see right here that it puts like this green progress bar so that you know that you're on track. But if the coaching model is late, then you can label it late, and automatically you can see, this is the one that we need to like put a little bit more resource in because it is currently late, like the project is not doing well. And you can just move things around. So if it turns out like you finish all these projects and you have a little bit more time, you can move one of the ones that's on hold into what you're working on, or you can move it into Q1 so you have 4 things to do, kind of like that. So there's a lot of things that you can do within Trello to just keep everything as organized as possible when it comes to your project. So I will put the link for Trello in the description box below for you. Okay, so let's move on to the second tool, which is Notion. Now, I really like Notion because there's so much that you can do with it. However, the downside is that because of the fact that there's so much you can do with it, there is a steep learning curve. Like there's so much that you can do within Notion that it takes some time to get adjusted to it, but it is a super helpful tool. What is great about Notion, again, it's also like a team management productivity tool that you can use. And what's great about it is that you can house a variety of things in one dashboard. The one downside to Trello, even though I love Trello and it is still my favorite, is that everything needs to be housed in different boards depending on what it is, right? Like you can't, if you want to stay organized, you don't want to have everything in one board. You want to make sure that everything is organized in different boards. But with Notion, you could house everything in one dashboard and then link out to different things. So I've kind of like created a dashboard for you to see pretty much what I mean. So as you can see here, I have a section for one-on-one meetings with the team, and then I have a section for high-level meeting notes. In Trello, for example, this would be 2 different boards, but here it's just one like quote unquote board that we can link outside. So this is how you would use it. So here I've created like one page that I linked out to this team member number 1, where you can put here like a mini description that says, okay, so I usually have my one-on-one meeting with this team member at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays. This is what I discussed with them on that meeting day, and this is what their current focus is, right? And then you can just review this before the actual meeting. So let me just kind of show you, let's see, let me show you how I did that, just so you have a quick idea. So all I did here was look for a page, and you embed a page within there, and here it is. Team member number three. This is where I put the note that's like meeting day, oops, is let's say Thursday at 3 p.m. So I always know when I'm having a meeting with this person. And then here, this is where I put the what we discussed. So I would just put like maybe just heading, notes from meeting, and then I put the bulleted lists. And these are like the points that we discussed, right? So that's pretty much it. And like I said, I love the fact that you just link to it. So like you could put every team member as a page. That way, like all your notes from that meeting isn't on the main dashboard, it links away. The other thing too that I've done is I've created a section for like high level meetings. So if you want one space to like house all your meetings, you could do that as well. So every time you go to like a big like department meeting or whatever the case might be, you could basically add in your notes in here. So you could take notes while you're at the meeting. So I've gone ahead and set something like this up. As you can see here, I inserted a Kanban board. It just goes to show the power of Notion, right? You could literally do a bunch of things in here. But basically, to figure out what you can do, you just hit the the backslash button, and it gives you like a whole set of options that you could use. You could have a numbered list if you want, you can divide, you can, there's the board that I created there. You can insert a calendar. Like if I wanted to insert a calendar, you'll be able to see the calendar for the month. There is a lot that you can do with Notion, basically is what I'm saying. But steep learning curve. So if you're not the type of person that likes to like play around with, different applications, and I wouldn't recommend this. I would probably recommend Trello instead, but this is a great tool if you are somebody that likes to keep everything organized in one place and you don't mind kind of a steep learning curve, okay? So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the third application that I want to introduce you to is called Airtable. And so for me, I've only pretty much been using Airtable for about a year and a half or so, and so I'm still kind of like getting used to it myself, but I will say that Airtable to me is like Google Sheets on steroids. Like Google Sheets is great for like organizing things, but I find that the tagging systems and filtering systems are super limited in what you can do. And so that's why I really like Airtable. It's just a way of like combining what all the Google apps can do just in one. So one of the ways that I have used it for is actually for feedback on my NMA program. So when someone joins NMA, one of the things I want them to do first, like it says within the first 72 hours, is actually fill out this onboarding form. It's just, even though like the course is self-paced, like it's not a coaching program per se, I still want to be able to support my students however I can. And part of supporting them is truly understanding how they're feeling and how they're doing when they're entering the program, so that I can make sure and provide them support however I can throughout the program. So what Airtable allows me to do is create a form that basically everyone fills out before they even start the program. And then that way I can review the answers after they've submitted it and, you know, adjust accordingly. Now, for obvious reasons, I can't share with you the back end of the answer or of the responses that I got. But what I will do is show you kind of what it would look like by using a template within Airtable. So what I've pulled up here for you is a template within Airtable that is used for applicant tracking. So this would be perfect for someone who's in HR and is interviewing people. So as you can see, this is like kind of what it looks like on the back end. And as you can see, there's like tags, you can attach like photos. You can basically do pretty much anything in Airtable and then just filter it based on, you know, the filters that you've applied. So if I wanted to, I can, like if there was like hundreds of responses in this, I could just filter out who's interviewing and it'll only pull up for me who's interviewing as opposed to like all the different stages that they're in. So it is super, super like, I don't know, it's just got a lot to it, and it really helps you to keep everything as organized as possible. So that's definitely another tool that is very useful. For you, you could take the same idea basically of using forms to do like pulse surveys perhaps on the team just to see how things are going. You could use it to collect feedback in your one-on-one team in your one-on-one meetings. Like for example, in NMA, I teach about the fact that it's super important to have feedback loops in everything that you're doing. And so this could be like a quick form, much like this one that I have for the accelerator, that you send out to your team member right after your one-on-one meeting, just to see like what they thought about the meeting and if there was anything else that they wanted to add. And then you could just look at it afterwards. Okay, so that's just like a simple way that you could take advantage of Airtable. Okay, so the fourth tool that I want to introduce you to is called Loom. So Loom is a tool that makes demonstrating essentially what you're talking about that much easier for your team members. So if you want to show team members your screen perhaps, or walk them through something, then this is fantastic to use. I think that video is a great tool to use for like SOPs as well. So for example, if there is a part of an SOP that is just a bit like complicated and could be explained in a video message, then you could essentially use Loom to help you do that, and then add it to the SOP as like a piece of the documentation, so that so that you are appealing to the different learning styles, because not everybody is good at just like reading instructions. Sometimes they need to see it. So basically the way that Loom works, and I'm going to try and do this while I'm recording using Ecamm. We'll see how it goes. But basically the way that Loom works is that you can record yourself with your screen. So if I were to hit this record a video button right here, what it should do, let me press it. It should do is pull up, a tab right here. So you could actually film like your screen and camera. So it'll show, sorry, I'm like looking at so many different cameras. So it'll show down here. Yeah, there it is. It'll show down here like a little thumbnail of you and your screen, so you can walk the person through what you're doing. Or if you wanted to just do the screen only, you could do that so that they can just focus on the screen that you're showing them, and it'll just show like a thumbnail of you. Although you can like close this thumbnail if you want, like that, just so the person is like completely seeing that. And if you have multiple tabs open, then you can also just film the current tab. So if I had a bunch of different tabs open up here, then the recording will only record just this one tab, and then that way the person doesn't have to see a bunch of your different tabs open. And then all you have to do is like hit the start recording button, you record it, then you press stop, and it'll send you a link which you can send to that person or import into your SOP. So it's super, super simple to use. Okay, so the next tool I want to introduce you to is LastPass. So I don't know about you, but it's super hard for me to remember all the passwords in the world. It's just not my jam. With all the letters and digits that are expected from each and every password, it's just impossible to remember everything. And so what I like about LastPass is that you can literally house every single password in one dashboard for yourself. And if you download the extension, like I have the extension up here for myself, what it'll do is every time you visit a site that requires a password, it'll ask you, hey, do you want to save this into your LastPass? And then that way, the next time you go to that site, it'll just like auto-populate for you. Now, you might be sitting there saying, okay, but Google offers the same thing. But here's the thing, with Google, you can't share it with team members. And again, this is all about team management, right? So what I like about LastPass is that you can create a sharing center. You see down here where it says sharing center, you can create, oh, actually you can't see it because my face is in there we go. See right here where it says sharing center, you can create like a team, like folder basically that houses all the passwords that all of you would be using. That way, like nobody needs to like ask you for like links and passwords or whatever. It's already in there, and all they have to do is like access that dashboard. Okay, so the next tool that I wanted to show you how to use is Otter AI. So Otter is basically a transcription service that you can use for your meetings. So I don't know about you, but I'm a huge note taker in meetings, but because of the fact that sometimes I get like so engrossed in the conversation, I sometimes forget to take notes. And so what this does is it allows you to record the meeting and it transcribes it for you so that you can look back on the notes later. Okay, so you can use it on your phone. You can use it on the computer if you work remotely, and obviously you're having meetings through like Zoom or something like that. You can actually attach Otter to Zoom, and it'll record and then transcribe it for you. So let me just give you an example of how this looks. So if I were to hit the start recording button here and just continue to talk, it'll literally transcribe everything that I'm saying right now. And then what it'll do once you hit the stop button, like the stop recording button, is it will generate like a transcription that you can like email to yourself. So let's do that together right now. So if I hit the stop recording button, yep, recording saved in conversations, and then you can, it's in processing right now. Then it'll like pull up like this notification that says, hey, you know, where do you want this to go? Do you want it to save in your history, or do you want to email it to yourself? I mean, as a suggestion, you can actually add it to your Notion if Notion is something that you want to house all your meeting notes in. But I thought that this tool was super useful, specifically for meetings and making sure that you have all the information that you need from a meeting. Okay, so the final application that I wanted to introduce you to is called Boomerang. So Boomerang is basically a tool for, as you can see here, Gmail, Outlook, and for mobile. And so it basically allows you to like schedule out your messages ahead of time in terms of when it'll be sent. And there's a lot of other like great features to Boomerang, but what I like it for is for the scheduling aspect of your sent messages. Being a leader means setting the example, right? And so you might think that sending something out over the weekend is okay, but what you're actually saying to your team is that it's okay for them to be working on the weekends when they should really be spending time with their family. And so if you're the type of person that likes to just like come into like a clean inbox on Monday and you just want to have things like sent out, but you're doing it on the Sunday, what you could do is use Boomerang. Like you could write out all your emails on the Sunday night, let's say, and then you can use Boomerang to send it out Monday morning at like 9 o'clock, so that your team members are not receiving it on a Sunday night. They're receiving it on Monday morning when they should, when they're actually working, right? That way you're not like putting anyone through any like angst or something because they're receiving messages on the weekend. So that's what I really like Boomerang for. But like I said, you could use it for like a variety of different reasons. So that is pretty much it in terms of all the tools and applications that you can use to make your life easier. I highly suggest that you like choose maybe just even one to make you that much more efficient at what you're doing. Obviously, don't try and use all of them because then that will probably make you inefficient. But yeah, definitely choose one that you thought was like pretty cool to use, and you'll see how much faster you are at getting things done. And let me know which one of these in the comment section below you are going to use. Thanks so much for joining this week's video. I know it was a little bit different with me like coming behind the scenes and kind of showing you how to use things, but I hope you found it enjoyable. Don't forget to hit on the like and subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any other content that I share on this platform every single Tuesday. It was great to be with you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. Do not forget to keep smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.